Every year, after every GCSE Maths paper, the people who set it and marked it write a report. In that report, they explain exactly where students drop marks, which topics caused the most problems, what students consistently did wrong, what examiners expected to see that students did not give them. Most students have never seen one of these documents. Most parents have never heard of one. I've spent time going through years of them, and here is what they actually say. Before I get into the findings, let me explain what these documents are. After every GCSE Maths paper, the chief examiner and the marking team write what is called an examiner's report. It covers what was answered well, what was answered poorly, which topics caused the most consistent problems, and what the examiner expected to see that the students simply did not produce. These reports are published by the exam boards, Edexcel, AQA, OCR. They are on the website. They are free and they are public. And almost no student or parent has ever read one, which means the people who set your exam are telling you every single year exactly where the marks go, and almost nobody is listening. I want to change that today. When you read through multiple years of these reports, something becomes very, very clear very quickly. The same things keep coming up, not occasionally, not once or twice, year after year after year. The examiner is flagging the same categories of mistakes. Different papers, different questions, different cohorts of students, same patterns. And that tells you something important. These are not random errors. These are structural habits. Things students do consistently across years because nobody has ever told them that they are doing them. There are three patterns that recur more than any others. The first is insufficient working. The second is underperformance on topics that students think they know. And the third is breaking down on multi-step questions. The recurring findings across years of examiner reports and what they actually mean. The first pattern, and the one that shows up most consistently across years of reports, is insufficient working. In GCSE Maths, the mark scheme awards marks in two ways. There are accuracy marks for the right answer, and there are method marks for showing the correct process even if you make an error along the way. Here is the part that changes everything. A student who gets the right answer but shows no working can score 0. A student who makes an arithmetic mistake but shows the correct method can score nearly full marks. The examiner is not just marking whether you arrived at the right number. They are marking whether you demonstrated that you understand the process. Examiners flag this in their reports year after year, particularly on what they call the show that questions, where the answer is given and students have to prove it. Students see the answer, work backwards, and never show the structured reasoning the examiner is looking for. They get the right result and still score 0 because the working is not there. The fix is straightforward, but it has to become a habit. Every piece of working goes on the page. Every step, every line, nothing done mentally and left off. You do not get credit for thinking the right thing, you get credit for writing the right thing. The second pattern is something I find particularly important because it catches students who are actually quite capable. Across multiple years of examiner reports, the same categories of topics are flagged for underperformance. And what is striking about this list is that these are not the topics students struggle to understand. These are the topics students think they already have. Probability, algebra, surds, histograms, trigonometry, topics that appear throughout the course as students cover in lessons that feel familiar. And yet, year after year, examiners are noting that students underperform on these relative to expectation. Why? Because there is a gap between knowing a topic and being able to execute it reliably under timed exam pressure. Students revise the simple versions, the exam test the harder versions, the multi-step applications, the unfamiliar formats, the questions that require combining the topic with something else. Examiners note this gap consistently. A student who can do a basic probability question freezes when the question requires a structured sample space across two events. A student who knows how to rationalize a surd makes errors when the question embeds it inside a longer chain of working. Familiarity is not the same as reliability, and the exam only rewards reliability. The third pattern is the one that most directly separates the grade 7 students from a grade 9 student: multi-step questions. These are the questions that require applying 2, 3, 4 different skills in sequence. They are not necessarily about harder content, they are about connected thinking under pressure. What the examiner notes across multiple reports is that students can often perform each individual skill in isolation. But when those skills need to be chained together in a simple question, especially under time conditions, the performance drops significantly. The student who can find the area of a triangle and the student who can do that within a proof question involving circle theorems are not always the same student. The way to close that gap is not to study more topics, is to practice exam-style questions, whole questions under time conditions, rather than topic-by-topic exercises in isolation. The specific type of practice is what builds the connected thinking the examiner is looking for, and it is the thing most students replace it with: passive revision. Reading notes, watching videos, going over worked examples, none of those build the skill the exam is testing. Only doing exam questions under exam conditions builds it. So let me tell you what to exactly do with this information, because knowing that examiners flag these patterns every year is only useful if it changes how you revise. Here is the process I would follow, and it takes about 40 minutes. Step 1. Go to your exam board's website, Edexcel, AQA, GCSE, iGCSE, and find the examiner report for GCSE Maths from the last 2 or 3 years. It is a PDF, it is free, search for it by name. It will come up immediately. Step 2. Read only the section on common errors and underperformed topics. You do not need to read the whole document. You need the section that tells you where the marks went and, more importantly, why. Step 3, cross-reference what the examiner flags with your own or your child's past paper mistakes. Go back through your last 2 or 3 practice papers. Where do the lists overlap? That overlap, the patterns the examiner consistently flags, and the specific areas where you personally drop marks is your revision priority list, written by the people who set the exam, specific to your actual weak areas. Most students never build this list because they never read the document that makes it possible. 40 minutes, that's what it takes. And those 40 minutes are worth more than 3 weeks of unfocused revision. Because unfocused revision feels productive, targeted revision actually is. The students who perform best in GCSE Maths are almost never the ones who revise the most. They are the ones who revise the right things. And the examiner, in plain language, in a free document, updated it every year, tells you what the right things are. Before your next mock, I want you to do one thing. Find the examiner report for your paper. If you are sitting at Excel, search at Excel GCSE Maths examiner report. The most recent one will come up immediately. Open the PDF, read the section on common errors, and that is it. Most of your competition is still not doing this. That is the only reason it still works as an advantage. The information has always been there. The students who find it and use it stop losing marks on the same thing year after year. If you found this useful, there is more like it on this channel. I post weekly content on what actually moves GCSE and A-level maths grades, the things most students are never told, the patterns in the data, the specific habits that separate the students who improve from the ones who plateau. Subscribe if you want to keep seeing it. And if you want the full breakdown document, the recurring themes across multiple years of examiner reports with specific examples and a revision framework built around them, message me the word examiner and I'll send it to you directly. Thanks for watching.